Effective decision makers maintain robust situational awareness as they monitor mission-critical environments and then take appropriate actions when necessary. The Explainable AI or XAI Toolkit provides easy-to-use capabilities to establish and maintain your organization's situational awareness for procurement use cases. In this application, critical situations are viewed as red flags of various types that are non-compliant according to current standards and regulations. The toolkit includes a red flags workbench to manage compliance red flags using the familiar capabilities of Microsoft Excel, including a preloaded library of red flags from the Open Contracting Data Standard. It's offered as an Excel add-in provided by Microsoft's partner, HMX, available at no cost from the Microsoft Store. The first step in using the red flags workbench is to obtain relevant data from Azure Synapse. Excel Power Query provides the capabilities for extracting these data from Synapse as well as other data sources. In this workbook, the data compliant with the Open Contracting Data Standard are accessed from the enterprise models that you saw in the Synapse database, and the data are placed into Excel tables in separate tabs. Red flags from the Open Contracting Partnership, or OCP, define many compliance situations in the procurement process during planning, tender, award, contracting, and implementation phases. Red Flags Workbench organizes OCP red flags in a situational awareness structure called a cognitive map. Red flag situations are only actionable when they are associated with a goal to be achieved, typically measured by KPIs for each goal. Thus, the cognitive map organizes red flags based on their associated goals. For example, the top-level goal for procurement is to assure procurement procedure performance and transparency. Each goal can then be further refined by a sub-goal if needed. For example, adding the sub-goal of whether bidder background checks are clean. Typical red flag situations in this sub-goal would check whether complete bidder information is available, whether a bidder has been sanctioned in the past, and whether a bidder has a known professional relationship with a procurement buyer. Red flag situations are defined by specifying a label or name for the red flag. In this case, the red flag is whether bid amounts for a tender are nearly identical. A text description of what the red flag measures or identifies, and this information is taken directly from the OCP red flag specification. The parent goal for the red flag, or the goal associated with the red flag. Actions taken in response to the presence of this red flag will serve to improve the KPI for this goal. The key entity is the company, person, contract, and so on associated with the red flag. For example, this red flag relates to all bids submitted in response to a tender, thus the key entity is a tender. And then finally, the goal impact, which measures the effect of the red flag situation in achieving your organizational goals. Goal impact specification is useful because some red flags are serious, whereas others are less so. The red flags workbench aggregates these values when the red flag is present, providing a consolidated measure of risk. Red Flags Workbench includes a library of publicly available OCP procurement data and predefined red flags. And users can modify the cognitive map's goals, red flags, and red flag specifications to customize them or create their own. In the Red Flags Workbench, each goal's red flags are defined by a situation assessor. It includes a formula builder for users to easily define Excel formulas specifying how to calculate whether a red flag is present. It uses the Excel table data imported from Synapse and other data sources. Users can modify the tables by adding columns or including additional calculations in new worksheets for the best way to define the red flag. The Situation Assessor Editor and Formula Builder enable simple rules definitions to determine whether the calculations from a situation's formula indicate a red flag. These rules typically include thresholds or standards comparisons for potential violations. In this example, tenders are flagged based on the ratio of the standard deviation of all bid amounts to the average bid amount for each tender. To create this definition, users select the appropriate table and column from drop-downs or they enter formulas or a cell reference. They choose a comparator, an operator, and then they enter a value or another formula or cell reference or column reference. Users can also enter a formula description and view how their entries are translated to an Excel formula. User entries are validated as they're entered so that the formula is always entered correctly. Once a cognitive map's red flag situations and goals are specified, they can be simulated with the scenario manager using data contained in the Excel tables. The simulation generates several useful red flag reports, including a situation report, or SITREP, a goal impact report, and a goal satisfaction report. After a simulation is complete, the goals and situation pane displays red notification badges on each situation with a number of key entities for which that red flag is present. Clicking on the badge displays a list of those key entities, and clicking on one of the key entities in the list will automatically navigate to the row in the key entity data table so that users can review the particulars of that red flag key entity. For example, for the bid amounts nearly identical situation, clicking on the notification badge displays a list of 7 tenders for which this red flag is present. And clicking on the first item in the list displays the relevant tender so that those data can be reviewed. HMX explainable AI tools like the Red Flags Workbench are designed to improve transparency and build trust between users and intelligent applications. In this case, users can include explanations of situation assessor formulas that have been used to identify red flags. The Red Flag Workbench automatically prompts Azure OpenAI and services to display a natural language explanation for the situation assessor. This allows easy comprehension for non-technical users.